Welcome to Screwtape Letters, letter 13. So we can infer in this letter that Screwtape has received a message from his nephew Wormwood, and Wormwood informs him that he let his patient slip between his grasp. So this patient has returned to grace. We talked about in the last letter how he had this uneasiness about how his life was going, and now he's recognized it, repented, and come back to God. And Screwtape says the second conversion is probably stronger than the first one. So Wormwood probably told him the situation that the patient was in whenever this happened. And he talks about this asphyxiating cloud when the patient was on his way back from the old mill. And that's actually God's presence, which I think is really cool because in the Old Testament, where we have God who appears to the Israelites in cloud and in thunder and whatnot. So when this cloud is around this man, that the demon can see that that's God dwelling with that person. And we've all hopefully had experiences of God speaking to us either through like our own thoughts, the thoughts that God puts in our head, or through words that other people have spoken to us. So Screwtape outlines two of Wormwood's so-called blunders. The first one is that he allowed the patient to read a book because he enjoyed it. So remember, the demon's purpose is always to befuddle us, is always to take something and twist it in a wrong way. So the patient isn't reading a book so he can seem smarter or laugh at it. He's reading it just because he enjoys it. And the second one is to take a walk in nature alone. So again, not with other people, not with, being concerned with the thoughts of others, but to have some solitude. Screwtape says these were two real positive pleasures, right? So the demons don't want to allow us pleasure in its natural right form. Remember, we've talked about earlier how they want to distort it in some way. So he says to clear it up, two methods Wormwood could use moving forward. One is the romantic, quote unquote, method. Have the patient romanticize imaginary distress, right? So to make him think that, oh yeah, I'd love to suffer, self-pity for imaginary distress, but it says you need to protect him from real pain. Because if you have, it says, because of course 5 minutes genuine toothache would reveal the romantic sorrows for the nonsense they were and unmask your whole stratagem. So if you're going to do that method, you need to keep him from real pain. The second method, which Wormwood was using, was by the world. So using fake pleasures like vanity, bustle, irony to lead the patient away from himself into the pleasures that the world says he should enjoy. So a form of detachment that, he says he likes this cocoa better than that cocoa, not because he actually does, but because that's what everyone else in the world says he does, or says that he should, or everyone else likes him. So this idea of like popularity or peer pressure or whatnot. And that's good for the demons. That's what they desire. And he does talk about how there's this distinction from what they mean by detaching man from themselves. So both God and demons seek to do this with humans. There we go. So detaching man from himself. So when the demons talk about it, their plan is to detach humans from the innocent preferences we all have according to our personalities. So the demon's goal is, not that they have anything virtuous in them that he likes country cricket. Cricket would be a game. Collecting stamps or drinking cocoa, such things that grant you have nothing of virtue in them. But there's a sort of innocence, humility, and self-forgetfulness, which I distrust. So the demons always want us to be thinking about ourselves first and foremost, and acting in accord with what other people like or want. For God, his plan is for humans to surrender our self-will to him. He says, remember always that he really likes the little vermin and sets an absurd value on the distinctness of every one of them. So God made us individual, right? And what he asks us to do is to give our will to him. Our Father, we pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So that he wants us to seek to do his will first. And in doing that, he's going to give us back all of our personality, all of who we are. And we actually become more fully ourselves than before. So, when we look at the saints, they're so different. Each person who lived had such a different story and such a different role in humanity, and all of them went to heaven, And so our personalities are a good thing. They make us who we are. And when we surrender ourselves to God, he gives us back ourselves and even this more perfected version of ourselves, because God's the one who created us as we are. So lastly, Screwtape advises Wormwood to keep the patient from acting. So the main thing is with all of this, don't let him turn it into action, right? So we see it's important here not just to have feelings, but that we act on them and that we do what's right. We do what is just. We act charitably. We love others because that's what actually matters, right? Our actions. And then I really like this last quote from the very end of the chapter, the more often he feels without acting, the less he will ever be able to act, and in the long run, the less he'll be able to feel. So this tactic that our feelings should be put into action, because the less that we act, eventually we'll lose the ability to even feel.